Janet, do you have any small children that you can contact about?
Do I have any more?
Children, small children?
No.
Okay. I have all kinds of, I made all my bags, and I have lots of leftovers, so I thought I know Linda has some.
Yeah, Linda definitely has.
Yeah.
Schweinstein has some.
Yeah, so I thought I was going to donate it to the Hebrew School. I thought I'd give it to people here first. So thank you.
No, maybe in a year or two, I'll have a little one. But I'm not even allowed to mention it to them.
I can't believe, Nancy and I were in the same class in high school. And we have friends from class who, not only are grandparents, they're becoming great-grandparents. No, that can't be right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like becoming great.
So they had kids when they were 20, 21.
Right.
And then their kids had kids when they were 20, 21.
Right. And I can't believe, we have nothing even on the horizon. Nothing. You know what I mean?
Well, when Jeremy and Katie just got married, one of the things that she was pissed about, which I didn't know until 2 weeks before the wedding, was that I think it was last November for Thanksgiving, because they were engaged for a year and a half. And we were sitting at the table, and I didn't even remember saying this, but it's something I would say. And evidently I said, it would be so cool in a couple of years to have a high chair at the table. So she felt like it was pushing her.
Well,
I was like, when are you getting married then?
right. Did you ever see the movie Mystic Pizza?
Yes.
So at the wedding, one of the girls gets married, and at the wedding, someone's like, so, when are we going to hear some good news? Like they're at the wedding. That just cracked me up. We didn't name his book.
Take this one.
I've got to go to the restroom.
So let's do Saturday at school.
My uncle and cousins were in from Boston, so I was hanging out with them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Hello.
Howdy.
Did you get Nate's book?
David Brody might.
Huh?
Why is this bed so far? Hello, everybody. Oh no. We start here. Okay, Wednesday.
Well, do you have any young children that you give Hanukkah presents to?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have any young children that you give Hanukkah presents?
Mm-mm. No, Tuesday. Ooh, wait a minute. His yahrzeit is tonight.
That's a cool bag though.
What do you have?
I've got stuffed animals.
Oh, what kind?
They say Happy Hanukkah on them. And I've got rubber duckies.
Rubber
These little laser
duckies.
feathers, and they can install it in all that This is
Oh,
about,
I could use a laser pointer thing.
so these, you put it on your finger, like that, I guess. And like this.
Oh, it's cute.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
We had
I've got
those
two
when you
cats that I
were,
can give them to.
when you were working backstage, we used
One
those.
for each cat.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's why I sent Noah a couple of those for his cat. I'm like, the cat will love it. But you can like put that on your finger with that strap.
Oh,
And so you can, you know.
well, this is so cool.
I'll enjoy it.
I remember where I put it in the calm place in my purse, well, purse isn't that big.
I want all this on here to give on to the kids. And I forgot to tell you.
So there's this, like, a scholar in residence type thing this weekend. It's a fifth year rabbinical student that's gonna come here and do a chat, like, I guess, Friday night after services, and then on Saturday. And, I got an email from Nancy Gruen, on the 11th, so last Tuesday. Which started off, it's Nancy Gruen at Tifereth, and it started off, dear friends, and then there was, the body of the email was inviting, me or whoever the rest of the friends were to Shabbat dinner this coming Friday night. And be our guest at Shabbat dinner, which means I didn't have to pay for it. I was over at the Shul Cloud to sign up for it, just me. And I thought, first of all, it was really interesting coming from Nancy's email, just like, instead of like the general email address that they usually send it at. But, okay, I mean, you know, I'll stay, figure out if I want to stay even longer, it depends on what the food is there. Ask Linda, this Friday night, did you get an invitation from Nancy? She goes, no. So anyways, yesterday, she said, I didn't get one either. It must have been for people who do a lot of money. Or maybe the poverty-stricken ones. And she said, that's not funny. I obviously didn't blow my money having worked for Torah Academy and JCC, you know? Anyway, so she said, she was kind of pissed about it. She said, my father always hated because they sucked up to certain people. They don't suck up to me.
When I grew up as very clearly as a kid, I knew that Rabbi Sasky sucked up to the
Oh my God, did he suck up?
I didn't get it, it was there.
Like, he was a voting, they don't know my name, but he knew because I was there for all the kids.
Oh, that's not good.
What?
It's not right.
One-line stamps, those are for
Hey,
me.
how are you?
I didn't light it, and
No, there's
I'll
no
light
difference.
it.
But you don't have to.
I didn't save it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nate, your younger grandson, is he too old for a stuffed animal?
Nate's not. I love Frankenstein. Three, two, one.
I was, and he was, or the third or fourth, and some years ago.
Thank you.
Do you have small children or grandchildren?
He's trying.
Well, if I know bigger, I'm just gonna give them the Sunday school. But
Oh, nobody.
Where were you at the office?
I want to be another. No,
Larry has little kids.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
You missed mac and cheese.
I also.
Today is Monday, tomorrow is Tuesday, and Wednesday.
What is it? 8, 9 years old? Was that your?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yes. She didn't say the seafood.
Well, I thought it was just a wonderful loving to her. It is.
I didn't get a chance to even talk to her. She was gone.
And my skiers won yesterday, which was wonderful too.
I found your granddad.
What?
I found your granddad.
Oh, that's really counts.
Which one? Both of them.
Aaron, do you have small grandchildren? I'm sorry? You have small grandchildren?
Not everybody. Oh, we'll find something in there for him.
Would you like your Hanukkah laser pointer?
If you have a jersey of a Cleveland Cavalier or a Cleveland Brown,
Those are for the
but thank you for the offer.
This is really fun.
Is this the ticket?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
We'll bring this in.
Would they like to do it?
I have 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I never know. I don't.
Get as many as you want. You cannot take too many.
You put the
was at my friend's wedding outside of Chicago, which was very nice.
I have a question.
Yeah?
What's the rule on this?
What's the rule on it? What do you mean?
Well, because Rabbi Josh says Kaddish Rabbanan after every study, whether we do mikvah or not.
Oh.
So are you supposed to, or do
We
you?
usually don't. You don't have to. I mean, it's like a nice thing to do.
Is it supposed to? I mean, no.
You don't
So
need-
there's no.
I don't think you need to.
Okay.
I don't think you need to. It doesn't hurt to do. It's a nice thing to do, but you don't have to.
Okay. So it's not a written rule.
Okay. All right, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. You'll notice I said good evening and not good afternoon because it's dark out. And so instead of mincha, the afternoon service, we'll do some study and then move on to Mario. I'm going to move a little closer. Yeah, I know. There we go. All right. What? I was in Indiana. I was at a wedding in Indiana. I was in Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana. Yeah, we're doing Music Man. We're doing Music Man. There is a synagogue still open there. What? I don't know the name of it. My friend, one of my friends is the rabbi in Gary part-time, so I don't know the name of the synagogue. Oh. I wonder if that's, I don't know if that's the name of it. All right. So we've been studying from our lovely book by Rabbi Art Green. These are the words. I think maybe we'll do 2 entries. We'll see how it goes. Today's word, the first word, is halakha. Halakha. Who's heard of halakha? There. What's that? This is interactive. Whether I want it to be or not, this is interactive. Yeah. No. Well, I don't think having a right to talk has really stopped anybody in this room from. All right, okay, we're talking about halakha. So what is halakha? Walking in God's truth is halakha, the normative path trodden by those who wish to follow God's will, the life prescribed by Torah as fulfilled in the context of real, ongoing, and evolving human community. Halakha is the way to walk. It is the shortcut through the maze of rabbinic disputation. In the Talmud, the text may record the views of one generation after another on a particular practice, including arguments that seem to knock down all the possible courses of action. What is a person to do? How does one act? Then, seemingly from out of nowhere, a piece on the page will say, Hilchata, meaning action or directive from halacha. Hilchata is this way. Hilchita. Halachata is what I would say. But anyway, he spells it differently. Right? The halacha is this way, meaning out of all the argumentation, the sort of anonymous editorial voice of the Talmud would say, this is the halacha, this is the way you should go. Halacha comes to represent the body of such practical decisions, the way in which a person is to act in each situation. From early post-Talmudic times, in the 8th century, it began to appear in systematic compilations. These climax in the great codes of Maimonides in the 12th century, Yaakov ben Asher in the 13th century, and Yosef Karo in the 16th century, the Shulchan Aruch. Right, so basically the issue is the Talmud is a lot of intertwining debate, conversation, multiple generations of rabbis fighting with each other. Sometimes the editorial voice of the Talmud would say that the halacha is this. Other times it just sort of says like, okay, next page, and it moves on. Or it'll say even more directly teku, which means like the two arguments are like loggerheads, and we're just going to sort of call it quits. But then you have the question: what do I do? How do I, right? Learning and engaging in all the debate and discussion and questioning is really beautiful. But at a certain point, I want to know if my dinner is kosher or not, and if I can eat it. So not only how do I decide as an individual what I should do, but how do we decide as a community what our standards are, given that you have 1,000 different rabbis with 1,000 different opinions? So halacha is sort of the attempts by numerous authorities to kind of like take the vast ocean of debate and discussion and sort of give you one path to walk along, right? And even then, it's still kind of messy. The ability to consult and study such codes gives to halacha a fixed and somewhat rigid appearance. It becomes hard to remember that each line in the code and each gloss in the margins is the result of a living process, decisions made by generations of scholars about how to understand the Torah, where to expand its meaning, where to contract it, where to reapply an entirely new area. Some of these decisions required great moral courage. The sage stakes not only this worldly reputation, but even his very soul on the legitimacy of a daring interpretation of halacha, especially one that would allow more freedom and hence risk violating the will of heaven. Other decisions, perhaps more of them, reflect the conservatism of jurists everywhere and their reluctance to set precedent or to tamper with precedent received. Such conservatism tends to grow with the system's age, and it should be no surprise that the earlier authorities were often freer to interpret and legislate than were their later successors. In recent centuries, when halakhically observant communities have seen itself as under threat, the tendency has been toward an even greater stringency. So just pause there for a minute. So you have sort of a couple different things he's saying. One is that you have great thinkers who put their necks out with some sort of novel interpretation or a leniency or whatever because they think it's right or necessary. And then those things become codified, and that's great. But far more often, what you have is generations of people who don't want to push the boundary or who want to sort of protect the law and are more conservative, and those get kind of stuck in the system. And so when you look up, when I want to find out if I have my dinner, but I accidentally dropped my Fleischig spoon into my Milchig thing, and I want to know if it's kosher or not, right? So I look up the answer, and it says no. And I have to throw out my dinner, right? It turns out that no is the result of 3 generations of debate and discussion about what constitutes milchig and fleischig and whether it's hot or cold and how long it's in there and the volume of the soup they spilled it in versus the volume of food on the, right? There's a lot. And so the real relevant issue, so there's 2 things that go into this. Off the top of my, first of all, I'm a vegetarian, so this is all theoretical to me. I never think about this stuff. So one is that usually taste from milk or meat is transferred via flame, via heat. So if it's like a cold spoon that fell into something for a second, it's like not really a big deal necessarily. The other is what's called batel b'shishim, which is if let's say I have a big like chicken soup, right? And I accidentally drop a tiny little piece of cheese that melts into it all of a sudden, right? First of all, you can't do that on purpose, but if it's on accident and the volume of the soup or the volume of the cheese that fell in is less than 1/60th of the total volume of the soup, then you can say the taste is basically nullified in the larger volume, right? You get the idea? 1/60th is a somewhat arbitrary number. I don't know if anyone's there measuring it, but like if you have a whole big soup and one tiny little thing falls in there from, okay, even the rabbis say like it doesn't affect the status, right? So if you have a cold spoon that you use for meat and it falls into into a cold dish that's not even being heated up, I would say just take off the spoon and move on with your life. Anyway, but you can see like, if you look up the answer online and they just say no, right, or yes, you lose all the different various like complexities to this question, right? So because of that, you have sort of that's one reason among many why you have a conservative bent to halakha, because it tends to get more and more strict over time as you lose all the sort of flexibility and conversation and debate of the broader system in an effort to make it understandable and comprehensible to someone who just needs an answer now, right? And the other sort of influence, he says, is when halakhic communities feel under threat, they tend to be more strict. So certainly in modernity, when there's a sense that sort of Jewish traditional observance is under threat by the broader culture that has no interest in it, one reaction is to build your walls up higher and be more firm and be more strict and add more and more fences to protect the law from being eroded by all the terrible influences of liberal culture, right? So all those sort of elements come to make Jewish law over time more and more conservative. Leading contemporary Jewish thinker David Hartman has observed, halakha revolves around two poles: the legal, that is, specified and detailed rules governing behavior, and relational, that is, the yearning to give expression to the intimate covenantal relationship between God and Israel. Both these poles have shaped halakhic thought and practice. The legal pole, the tendency to fix formulations for conduct, may reflect the yearning and need of human beings for order and predictability in relationships. The task of a covenantal Jew is merely to respond. On the other hand, the covenantal pole emphasizes that halakha is not only a formal system concerned with rules and procedures, but also an expressive system grounded in the love relationship symbolized by God's invitation to Israel to become covenantal community. The understanding of halakha as a covenantal relational experience guards against the mistaken notion that a dynamic living relationship with God can be structured exclusively by fixed and permanent rules. The need for order must not be at the expense of spontaneity, personal passion, novelty, and surprise. One committed to the halakhic system can meet God in new ways. The perennial problem that one faces in living by halakha is how to prevent the covenantal relational pole from being obscured by the massive, seemingly self-sufficient legal framework. What does that all mean? You have multiple elements of halakha. On the one hand, you have a set structure with laws and rules that can be followed regardless of any spiritual anything. You've got plenty of people who are sort of orthoprax, right? Meaning they observe Jewish law relatively to the letter, but the theological sort of component about what it means spiritually is sort of non-existent. And you have plenty of people who are very spiritual, but aren't interested in the sort of structured relationship. And halakha ideally is sort of a melding of these two things, to say on the one hand, there is a system, there is a structure, having that sort of like regularly scheduled keva, the structure, is really important. On the other hand, if that's all there is, and if there's no flexibility or give and take, then it's not a relationship with God. It's sort of you like answering a cosmic vending machine where you put in your coin and you get out your reward, and it's just, you lose any sort of human relationship to this system. All right, last section. Contemporary Jews have a wide-ranging set of attitudes toward classical halakha. In Israel, an emerging secular Jewish society developed during pre-state times rejected halakha altogether. Legislative compromises with the Orthodox bloc in parliament left certain areas of life, especially around personal status, in the hands of halakhic authorities, creating a great resentment among secular Jews. Among Western European and then American Jews, Reform Judaism first challenged halakha directly, seeking to establish new patterns of Jewish religiosity using only the most general rubrics of the old system. In more recent years, there has been a return to halakhic thinking among most Reform leaders, and the ancient norms are regularly consulted, if not always upheld. Conservative Judaism, that's us, emerged in the early 20th century as a means for defending halakha for Jews who rejected Eastern European-style orthodoxy to live fully integrated in North American life. In effect, only a small minority of conservative laity ever lived in accordance with the movement's proclaimed standards. Orthodoxy itself is defined as Judaism, or defines itself as Judaism fully committed to halakha, and has been marked in recent decades by an increasing insistence on conformity and more stringent interpretation of the norms. So a lot of sociological stuff here that we don't really have time to go into because it's already 5:45, but you can see sort of these emerging different responses to halakha. In modernity, one is to say halakha is like overbearing and we're going to sort of scale back. One is to say we're going to hold to halakha and be as increasingly stringent. And one, which is the conservative movement, is to sort of say we're going to try to hold on to everything and be halakhic, but also not be so stringent and try to have everything, and maybe you get nothing when you try to hold on to everything at the same time. But the debates about Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox, and this is the last thing I'll say, is that Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, the movements are the sort of stereotype is that they're about how invested you are. If you're Reform, you're like whatever, and if you're Conservative, you're like kind of interested, and if you're Orthodox, you're like really care. And the truth is that that's not what it means, and that the movements are formed around ideological questions of the role of halakha, right? How binding is halakha? Is halakha controlling of our religious lives? How much flexibility is there within the system? And should the system itself continue as it has or be totally and sort of radically altered? So that ideological question is at the core of sort of the last 150 to 200 years of Jewish history, especially in the diaspora. All right. Questions? Comments? Feelings about any of this? Okay. Kaddish de Rabbanan, in honor of our study together. Page 13. Page 13, we remember for the day that is concluding the yortzites of Arthur C. Cohen, Ruth Gerbs, Thornton Ted Marlin, Tilly Ossopow, Fred Schneider, Dr. George W. Shepard, Jacob Schwartz, and Murray Ebner. Zichronam livracha, may all their memories be a blessing. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divra kirtei ve'yamlich malchutei, bechayichon uvyomeichon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam l'me'al maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'oma ve'imru amen. Al Yisrael ve'al Rabbanan ve'al Talmidehon ve'al kol Talmidehon ve'al kol man de'askin be'oraita di ve'atra hadain ve'di bechol atar v'atar. Yehei lahon ulechon shalama rabba china v'chista v'rachamin v'chayin arichin mezona revicha uforkana min kodam avuhon di vishmaya ve'imru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shamaya v'chaim tovim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Say shalom b'imromav u'brachamav yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Continue with Mariv on page 137. 137. All right. Take it away.
V'hurachim yekaper bam v'lo yashtes, v'hir bala hashiva pavalo yo'ir kol hamaso, Adonai Hoshia hamelech yaninu b'yam karinu. Baruch es Adonai hambara. Baruch Adonai baruch elam ba'ed. El chai v'kayim tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam ba'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim ahavas olam beis Yisrael. V'yavascha al tasir mimenu li'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. V'ahavta es Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol miyodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'veisecha uv'leftecha v'derech uv'shakbacha uv'kumecha uv'shartam lios al yodecha v'hayu l'totafos beinenecha uv'savtam al mesuzos beisecha uv'isharecha. Adonai Elachechem, emes v'yamino kazes v'kayim. U'malchus Eberot Sanki Blo Alehem, Moshe Bnei Yisrael Achonu Shua B'Shimcha Rabbah V'yamru Kulam, Mi kamocha b'olim Adonai, Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh. Malchus Chara Uvanecha, B'kal Yom Lifnei Moshe Ze Elianu V'yamru. V'ne'emar kifod Adonai es Yaakov uglo no yichazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Together in English on the top of page 140. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Praised are you, Adonai, eternal guardian of your people Israel. Ushmor teitenu va'enu l'chaim v'shalom yata b'yad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, shomer amo Yisrael la'ad. Baruch Adonai Elam Amen V'Amen. Ki hamalchus shechahi alamea timlok b'kavod ki ein lanu melech ela ata baruch ata Adonai hamelech b'kvodo tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed v'al kol ma'asav. Yiskadav v'yiskadav shemei rabah v'yamad yivrach v'yusei v'yamlech malchusei b'chayichonu v'yamechonu b'chayichol beis Yisrael v'agolev izman kori v'yimru amen. Yeshmei rabah Le'olam v'yamei amaya Yisparak v'yishtabak v'yispar v'yisraman v'yisnasei v'yisadar v'yisalev v'yisalal shemei d'kedusha b'ridachu Le'olam en kol berchasa v'shirasa tishvachasa v'nechamasa da'amiram v'yalma v'yimru amen.
Continuing with the silent Amidah recited privately in 142b. Page 149.
Yiskadav yiskadav shemei rabah
Amen.
v'yamadi v'achusei v'yamlech malchusei b'chayichonu v'yamechonu b'chayichol beis Yisrael b'agolev izman kori v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabah b'vorach le'olam v'yamei amaya Yisparak v'yishtabak v'yispar v'yisraman v'yisnasei v'yisadar v'yisalev v'yisalal shemei d'kedusha b'riyachu le'olam min kol berchasa v'shirasa tishbachasa v'nechemasa damiram v'yalma v'yimru amen. Tiskabal tzlas hanu b'hanu chol Yisrael kadamu b'handi v'shemaya v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav huya aseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Aleinu
Shabbat Ladona Kola Taking Lives Ereshit Shalom Shalom Kegoye Haratzot Velo Samanu Mishmavot Avama Shalom Sam Kalkeinu Kahem Vegor Alinu Kevohamnam Vanachnu Korim U'Mishapim Modim Lifnei Melech
Shehuno se Shamayim v'yosei oretz u'moshav yakora b'shamayim miyah u'shkinas u'zo b'hever amim hu Eloheinu einod emes malkeinu fesu lato kakasu b'torato v'yadata hayim ashivasa l'vavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim miyah v'yaharetz mitachas einod al kein ekaveh Kaka Sibitar Taka Adonai Yimlo V'Yalam Va'ed V'Ne'emar V'Haya Adonai L'Melech Al Kol Haaretz B'Yom Hahu B'Yom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo U'Shemo U'Shemo
Mourner's Kaddish is on page 151. We remember for tonight and tomorrow the yortzites of William Altshul, Henry Fisher, Fanny Hozansky, Jenny Jacobs, Shirley Kaiser, Heather Rubin Nivorowski, Herman Pruzant, Richard Sachs, and Sam Saul. Anyone else remembering tonight? May all their memories be a blessing.
Amen.
Yizkadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah be'alma divra kirsei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kariv v'yimur amen. Yehi shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam yomei almaya yizbarach v'yishtabach v'yizba'ar v'yizormam v'yiznasei v'yizhadar v'yizhalei v'yizhalal shemei dekudesha barichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiram v'yalma v'yirum amen. Yehi shalom rabba mit shemaya, v'chaim aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael v'yirum amen. Osei shalom b'rama, ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yirum amen. Yashkoach, Yashkoach. Thank you all for making a minyan tonight. Services are as usual this week. I think that's it. Just don't forget Thanksgiving Thursday morning will be at 9 on Thanksgiving Day, and then Thanksgiving evening, no minyan. That's it. Oh, and Rosh Chodesh is coming up too, right?
Yep.
When's Rosh Chodesh? Next week. Okay. Is that right?
No, it's the 26th. No, it's this week.
Oh, Rosh Chodesh is
It's
Friday. Friday is at 7:20. Yeah, because I did my part.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Good night, everybody. I was going to say no.